What's up, everybody? This is Chris Nichols, and you're listening to an episode of the Nichols and Dimes Show featuring Kecho. Enjoy. Kecho, what's up, my man?
What's going on, man?
Man, dude, what a spot. DeAnza Springs. Thanks for having me out here.
Absolutely, man. This is not only my first podcast, but the first podcast in the property, right?
I love it, man. Yeah, this place is incredible. It reminds me of like a mini, Joshua Tree type vibe / Burning Man destination type vibe.
Exactly. I tell people that we're starting the next Joshua Tree meets Burning Man, so you're spot on.
That's incredible. Well, man, I can't wait to get into all the things you're doing. But first, let me just give everybody a quick intro on you, what you're up to, and who you are, and then we're gonna dig all into that.
Yeah.
I'm excited about, man. But guys, I'm here today with my friend Kecho, otherwise known as Kecho, who is CEO and owner of Microdose movement, which specializes in psychedelic education and awareness. He is also owner of Glamping, an RV resort called DeAnza Springs, where we are right now. It's kind of like an hour and a half or so east of San Diego, kind of close to the border. Is that a good way to describe it? Yeah. And this is where he hosts wellness retreats, music festivals, and glamping experiences. We're actually in one of their kind of luxury suite RVs right now. So this place is
it's a trip.
Pimped out. Yeah, this is sick. Kecho's prior background includes founding and operating a business that sold packaging to the cannabis industry and organizing party bus trips. Kecho attended San Diego State University and is based in San Diego. Man, we got a few things to go over. This is going to be a fun one, I think.
Yeah, no, so I'm stoked, man.
Yeah, man. So I think maybe a good place to start. I just want to get to know you a little bit, like how you grew up. What made you who you are today? More so in the entrepreneurial spirit sense, and then also, of course, into why you're interested in all this type of stuff around, the education with psychedelics and having your retreats like this and all the benefits that can come with that. So I'm stoked to dig into that stuff. But what was life like growing up for you? Because you grew up in San Diego, right?
Correct. Yeah. Great question. Yeah, man. I mean, I feel like growing up for everybody, it's one of those things where it's like you don't really realize your potential until you become an adult.
Yeah.
And it's something that's learned, right? And looking back at it, it was just like, I wanted to be a professional soccer player, or I wanted to be, a comedian, or an athlete of some sort, right? Or an actor, right?
Yeah.
Or do stand-up comedy, it was for a moment in my life when I was a class clown, right?
I've been in all those places myself.
Exactly. So it's just funny to look back and look at those moments in my life where I was playing small.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And, that really is just like, that's how we're raised. That's how, society as a whole has been grown and developed to, listen to the norms, get a 9-to-5, and really play small. So I think, childhood, I was this Energizer bunny, and older brother, 4 years older than me. So, there was a little bit of tension, right? Because, he was the only child, and then I came into the picture, and then, sooner or later, just started to find my groove. But, obviously, like, just like anyone else, had the heartaches. My dad lost $1 million in the stock market, and, home was a scary place for a little bit, right? Because, it was all about the money, but it wasn't, but it was, and it only is when there is no money. You know what I mean? So, we were growing up, there was abundance, and then there wasn't. And then, there was a lot of that slow rise of bouncing back and really seeing adversity through my parents. So, I went through the roller coaster, right? I was, a star soccer player, and then I hit a downward spiral, and then I played video games all the time, and then became a hermit, even though I was an extrovert. And then, it was just a constant, battle to really discover my identity. And, then I became the class clown, and I think that was just a cry for attention because my parents weren't giving me that attention, So, I really started to really understand all that after, really good doing the work. I did this thing called ALA in my later 20s, and really saw, the core root of why I became a people pleaser, a yes man, and
And what was this program specifically?
Ascension Leadership Academy. It was like Tony Robbins on steroids.
Got it.
It was just really like a mixture of like an ayahuasca ceremony and a self-development course pounded into one with no actual plant medicine or substances.
Got it.
But really hammering into, what childhood was like, what I experienced in childhood, from 3 to 12 is really where you're the most suggestive and where you're developing as a human. And so a lot of the information that we intake is, it comes from that and all the childhood traumas that you experience in your younger years. And then obviously ancestral trauma as well that gets passed down through our genetics. So yeah, it was really like a pivotal moment. And then that's when I dived into spirituality and Reiki and Joe Dispenza and plant medicine, and really started to refine, who I was becoming, because I, growing up, obviously I feel like everyone's parents says this, but it's like, they tell you you're destined for greatness. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to be the one. And I feel like people that actually take that with intention and take it with them and put it into the universe and have that as their mantra and really ingrain that into their profile, their avatar, that's when the magic happens, right?
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So, I mean, childhood, you went through the ups and downs with the family. You did the different exploration of who you are, who you wanted to be. Let's get over to, San Diego State days.
Yeah.
How did you get interested? When did you first realize you liked the idea of entrepreneurship, working for yourself in general? What drove you towards that?
I think, I give a lot of credit to my peers, right? Like growing up, ever since I was one, right? Like ever since I was younger, I've always been curious and I've always been I'd never hesitated to go to every person in the room and understand where that person comes from. And really, like, whether you're a jock or a nerd or a spiritual Wookiee, I didn't put labels on anyone, and I just communicated and empathized with that person no matter who they were, just because I was just like, that was just like ingrained in me. And then I think in college it was like, that was like the absolute like birthing of like, social validation, right? That's where it's like that skill set really takes you to another level. You know what I mean? Because I was an SAE over there. I went to SUSU as a nursing major, and it was either nursing or SAE. And I was like, both has a ton of chicks. You know what I mean? The nursing program was like me and like 3 dudes and like 300 women. Yeah. And I was like, damn, that's really cool. But then I'm like, I'm not that book smart. I'm a street smart kind of guy. Yeah. And I always kind of struggled with grades. And then, Matt kind of drops this. It's like, your superpowers at the edge of your limiter. Yeah. And my limiter was, ADHD. I can't focus. I'm all over the place. I'm jumping off the walls, and then realize that's my superpower, where I'm able to, multitask and bounce from scenario to scenario, So, I chose the frat life, and, I had a ton of fun. And naturally was just like, okay, cool. Like, how do I like monetize this? And became a promoter, event producer. And, you know, I would do like all girl Vegas trips, you know, 150 girls from SDSU and go to the nightclubs and just for like me and like 3 chaperones and like all these beautiful women. And I was like, whoa. But, you know, there's no real longevity in that, you know?
Right.
It's, I realized, you know, that was when I became an enabler, you know, that yes man. I thought when I was providing, you know, the party and the tables and the alcohol and all the fun stuff, I was enabling people, because people usually come when they go out, they're, you know, some people are having fun with it, but a lot of people are like kind of running away from something, a pain, you know, an uncomfortable situation.
They're numbing themselves.
Exactly. And look, I like to have fun as well, and I still do. But now it's like I have a different approach where it's calculated. It's meant for longevity and retention, and sustainability. So that's kind of like when I went into the spiritual path, and you know, now it's, you know, now I, you know, I dabble here and there, but then also like to do the breath work. I like to do the ice baths. I like to do, you know, the workouts and the hot yoga and all that stuff, you know. So and I think now, you know, having this space and having the microdose movement, it really revolves around mental health. Like, how can I give people, you know, an experience that can help them take their lives and, you know, really propel themselves to the next level, like it did for me. You know.
I mean, it's I love how you pulled that together, and it's such a great story of that transition from one point in your life when it was more about the party and you were very much an enabler of that, right? Doing promotion type of work, organizing these Vegas trips, and you know, you were also involved in a lot of the nightclubs around San Diego, right? With this kind of stuff, right?
Definitely.
I want to like zoom into that actual transition itself, like what actually happened. And I believe it's from the time you were doing this party type of business stuff over to packaging for cannabis, right? Was that a big part of that realization that, hey, I need to shift my focus and my energy to something that's going to be more sustainable long term?
No, I mean, I realized, like, I was dead broke in my 20s. I was so poor. I was just like, just giving and giving and giving and thinking that it was like charity to the world, but it was just like enabling, you know what I mean? And so then I realized, oh shit, like, why am I going out and raging all the time 3 to 5 days a week? And I'm like, oh, it's because I'm when it comes time when I'm recovered, the weekend comes, and then that's when I should be realizing and actually working on myself and my business. But then that's when I go party, right? Because there's always birthdays scare me. I'm like scared. I'm like traumatized with birthdays now. I like block birthdays out because I was selling birthdays. I'm like, oh, it's your birthday? Let me get you a table.
Oh my gosh,
So that birthdays. I don't even care about my birthday anymore. So don't wish me happy birthday. So yeah, man. It was just like there's really no means to an end, and then that's when I kind of ventured into like influencer marketing and the cannabis space, and then obviously timing is everything, right? You know, you look at like Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, you know, all these different companies that, you know, started in a recession, and Mark, you know, who's the Mark? Zuckerberg, and then all these guys, you know, if you try to start Facebook now, it wouldn't be a thing, right? Because it's something society's already latched onto the current norm of interaction. So, timing's everything. So I was looking at cannabis, and I was like, cool, timing's right now because Prop 215. That's when cannabis was like being sold.
What year?
Like 2015 and like till like 2018.
Okay.
And then that's when like cannabis was like it was like a norm of like people were selling it, and then they would have dispensaries, but the government and the state and the city didn't have any type of legal infrastructure to enforce, you know. And so got in, and yeah, I utilized my network in my nightlife scene, everyone that I met. And at the end of the day, everyone, you know, parties to a certain degree, right? If you're normal and you like to have fun, Noodle, over here. And then, you know, everyone likes to enjoy themselves or just interact socially. So, you know, tapping into my network, you know, did some like growth hacking things. You know, at this point, I had like 4,000 contacts in my phone. And I still do. I need to like clean it. Oh my God. I need to send out a mass text and be like, yo, do you love me? Okay, you don't, later. You know?
Yeah. I think it's a good little audit there.
Oh, for sure. For sure. So, I was like realizing, you know, what good is this network that I've created if I, you know, don't utilize it and find the key players? Because I realized you don't really need, you know, everyone to, you know, to work with. Like it's the 80-20 principle, right?
Sure.
It's like, you know, finding 20% of your clients that create 80% of your revenue. And so that's what I did. And I hammered in some solid wholesale clients and really ran with it. And, you know, this was after the Joes and the Tonys and the ALA and the plant medicine, where it's just like, I just like beamed it into the universe. Yeah. And then once it was tapped, I didn't have to think about it. It was just subconsciously hardwired. Yeah. You know what I mean? And you know, it's like one of those, like, I like to like compare, like, you know, someone that has like road rage, you know, you look, or someone that has a mask during COVID and they're driving, those people like are not vibrating at a high level. No. So they're probably manifesting, you know, garbage. Yeah. You know, the last girl I was talking to, she was like, yeah, you know, like I keep getting into car accidents, and then like there's this dresser in the middle of the highway and I hit it, and like and then some guy rear-ended me. I'm like, dude, you got to raise that vibration. Yeah. She didn't like it. She was pretty pissed that I said that. Are you saying I'm low vibration? I'm like, I'm not saying it. It's just, it's proof is in the pudding, you know?
Yeah, it's like the biggest insult coming from you too.
Yeah, so, you know, I offered a, you know, a little ceremony, but yeah, man, it really is, once you tap in, once you understand, and then, you know, everyone knows what they need to do. Yeah. I think it's a matter of feeling it, you know, and really embodying that that potential. And then once you can feel it, get it out of your head and get it into your body, that's when it's like, it's a habit. Yeah. Right? It's second nature. You know, you don't have to think about it, you know? And you know, you see like all the amazing, like Alex Hormozy and like all these Tony Robbins, like they don't think about shit. Yeah. They're going off the cuff. Right. Probably. They're probably just free flowing, and it's just like, they probably black out during their speech, you know? And it's just like, they're like, at the end of it, everyone's applauding, and they're like, oh shit, what just happened? Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. They're so in the, like, in the depths of their beliefs that it's just so natural. They're in the now. They're in the present moment. They're just like, they're speaking from the heart. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's cool. Okay, so that was how you really started to make some money again. You figured out your hack in doing that. I don't know if that's the right word, but just you found your flow. You know, you leveraged the 80-20 principle, which I'm a huge fan of as well. And then you did that for about how long before you started getting into microdose movement? The next thing? I think once the cannabis industry got really rowdy with all the bills, all the taxes and stuff, I was just like, it just, and then also too, like with cannabis, I was like, so like, I was like, oh my God, like CBD cures cancer, let's go. Yeah. And then my mom would be like, hey, like I have a cyst, like I just want to let you know. And I'm like, Mom, take CBD. And then my mom was like, how dare you? You didn't even ask me, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. It just like turned into like almost how like the fake news and COVID programming, right? It's like it ingrains in your brain where the news is just like oh, CBD cures cancer, kills cancer cells, this and that, and I'm like, oh my god, I want to change the world with it, and realizing that it was just the news, it was just the media. And then that's when I was like, and then also the people in the space, it was just, blunt smoking, trapper types. And it was just like not reliable, so
I see.
Proximity is power, right? So like if I'm surrounding myself with, a bunch of blunt smoking trap lords, it's just like not healthy,
right?
So psychedelics, man, like once I didn't touch psychedelics till like my late 20s, and I had a traumatizing experience when I was in my 20s. Once again, all my frat bros peer pressuring me. It's my birthday. They're like, hey Kecho, let's do like a hero's dose, and I'm like, hell yeah, you guys are all down. And they're all from Oregon, and they're like OG psychedelic people, right. And then I had like literally was talking to my buddy, and I was like, thought he was my grandpa, and I freaked out. And then never touched it until my later 20s.
I see.
So I can understand, like, 99% of the people I talk to, they're like, oh, that haven't done psychedelics, so they had that traumatizing experience. And that really comes from that lower vibrational trauma that they're suppressing. And so, essentially, that's what I've learned, is that a lot of people that haven't had that, a microdosing experience is because they've had that traumatic experience matched with trauma, right? That they're holding on to. So once I unlocked that trauma, came to terms with it, it was just another whole new level of enlightenment. I was like, oh my God, like this world is so much brighter. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, and that second experience for you was, I think it's so important in this whole story. Because, I think a lot of people get turned off to him because they have traumatizing experiences. They overdo it, right? The first time, or they don't know what to expect, or whatever it is, or they're in the wrong environment. And then if you do it, properly, right, in a safer way, that will change your whole perception on it forever, to the point, in your case, you're making a living in this area, right? And you're creating businesses and experiences off of this stuff in a positive way, which is incredible. But I just want to understand better, like, what was that second experience like, more specifically? That turned you around so much.
I think what I learned from that experience was that there's 4 stages, and I think this is universal language in life, right? There's pain and suffering, there's forgiveness, gratitude, and manifestation. And that pain and suffering stage is that stage everyone runs from, right? Those awkward conversations that they need to have with their parents, or, ex-boyfriend, ex-girlfriend, a lot of the traumas that they're afraid to confront, that's been holding them back, that they compartmentalize and stowed away. And people haven't, really pursued to relive that trauma, right? And so that pain and suffering stage really is just like where you're going back into time, and you're like, holy crap, like that time my dad didn't pick me up in first grade, like I took it to heart and curled up into a ball and took it like as if it was like I wasn't worthy and he didn't care about me, and so during the ceremony, so that you relive that trauma, you go through, it's like a spiritual ice bath, right? You're getting your ass kicked, dude, like like ground and pound by the demons, and from there, forgiveness, which is really medicine for the world, right? If we want to heal this planet, forgiveness is number one, right? Being able to forgive even someone that's betrayed you intentionally, right? Like backstab you, your best friend, hooked up with your girlfriend or something, with the intention to hurt you. But being able to forgive that person has so much power, right? There's so much weight there, And then once you can forgive that person that caused that trauma and forgive yourself, from there is gratitude, right? Where you've gotten rid of all this trauma, forgiven those people, forgiven yourself, most importantly. And then, really just like tapping into that inner child you know, and a lot of people will refer to the inner child is because when we're kids, we're disassociated, right?
Yeah.
We're disconnected from the material, from the external, and we're just living in the present moment. So that's when you're able to tap into the gratitude, because most of the time people are thinking about the future or the past. The past, you know, really holds a lot of the betrayal. So once you could forgive, now you can be in the present and then be in gratitude, right? And then 4th stage is manifestation, right? After you've gone through, you know, 6 to 10 hours of ceremony, and you're like, oh, that was a lot of work, you know, and then you're just like cleansed, and you're just thinking about, for me, it was like envisioning, you know, owning a property of sorts where I could invite my friends. Right.
Wow.
And I didn't know that it was going to be this. And no one in their right mind goes searching for a nudist colony to go buy. Nudist colonies don't go for sale often. You know what I'm saying? And so in my mind, I was just envisioning like festivals with friends and just like just in a space where people are connecting. And community, I think, is, you know, the most sought after thing, whether you're a billionaire or a homeless man. It really is something that is healing and nurturing to the soul, you know?
Man. Yeah, that's, you described that so well. And just for context on something you said, DeAnza Springs, where we are, the resort that you now own, used to be a nudist colony. You've now changed that and making it into something else. But that's what he meant by that comment. That's
No, this is we're in year 3, and we've thrown 10 plus music festivals, 10 plus wellness retreats, and you know, there was a lot I learned. Like when I first bought the place, I met every single person in the space to understand, just like in childhood, right? Just to understand like where they come from. And to understand like what made them want to be a nudist, like, and to really just like reach eye to eye, you know, because I was intimidated, dude. Like when my partner's like, yo, you ready? Ready for what? He's like, ready to get naked. And I'm like, oh shit. Like, because on the way here, and I was just like, oh my God, I had just got back from Tony Robbins. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to step out of my comfort zone. Like, let's do this. And he was messing with me, right? And I was just on the way here. I was like, all right, cool, let's do this. And I was ready to get naked in front of other naked people, because I've never done that. I don't think most people have. And it was November, and it was chilly. It was just a bunch of, you know, people were just shirt cocking. And I was just like, okay, cool. They're not naked. Shirt cocking's where you have a t-shirt,
nothing else,
and then you're cocking.
And
then cock, lock, and drop it, you know. And I was like, oh my God, but I was like ready to step out of my comfort zone, you know. So going back to that point, you know, being able to drop down pure as can be, like Adam and Eve, you're able to, you know, disregard social norms and not live in the status quo in the material world and like what people think about you and like how the world perceives you. You're just living in your own perception. And that was one big lesson that I learned. I'm like, if this freaking, you know, older male, female is naked all the time and like does not give a shit, I'm like, why am I stressed about like wearing cool stuff? You know what I mean? And like how people think about me. You know, but don't get me wrong. I love to, you know, dress in my kimonos and go to festivals and do my thing. But like with the right intention. Right? The intention of like, I enjoy this. These are cool things that I like to express and inspire people to look cool too. And so yeah, that was a massive learning lesson, you know. And yeah, you know, like I did lots of karaoke with the natives. You know,
you did?
And you know, had a great time. And you know, it was very hard for us to pull the plug on the nudist thing because we wanted to be the best nudist resort in the country. And it just didn't happen. And we reinvested every dollar that we made back into the property. all the renovations, I'm, negative lots of money from just putting back into the space to give it life again.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's just what happens with businesses, right? It's been in the nudist colony for like 30 years.
Wow.
Depreciation happens. The sun is penetrating, but we're in a microclimate too. So like our temperature is usually 10 degrees colder or hotter based off of the seasons.
Sure.
And then, we have vegetation. There's a water source.
Okay.
311 RV lots, bar, restaurant, 2 pools. Like, the place was like, there's so much potential.
Yeah.
So
how big is this?
500 acres.
500 acres.
Yeah.
Wow.
San Diego County too, technically.
Wow.
So yeah, it's massive. To start your own RV resort, it takes years to get permitting, and you need to hire ecologists, millions of dollars that it takes to like just hire the people to get approved.
Oh yeah.
So we didn't see the growth happen with Nudist, and so at the end of the day, we have to pay the bills at the bare minimum, and from the aspect of just like my partner has kids, right? I don't have kids, but like from his perspective, he needs to feed his kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if the business isn't growing at the rate we needed to, we just have to be like, okay, cool, do we want to serve a couple hundred people, or do we want to serve thousands of people?
Yeah.
And have, like you said, like when you walked here, when you walked on foot of this property, you're like, oh, okay, I'm here, I'm in the present moment. It's the energy vortex, right?
Yep.
It raises your vibration, and you're just like dialed, so
very peaceful.
Really helps expand your creative capacity, and really helps you tap into the present moment.
I'm glad you went over a lot of that, because one of my what I was gonna try to get into was just really understand how these two businesses work together, right? Microdose movements and the business of this resort, which is really like an investment, and now you've created it into a destination type experience, in addition to just being like a place where people can come and stay in an RV. And I was, one of the questions on the property specifically was more or less, what is the vision you have? And so you already started answering most of that, which was, okay, you basically took it over when it was still a nudist colony, and you let it remain that way for a few years. And then more recently, right? Like very recently, right? You started to make this transition of, okay, no, now this is no longer going to be a nudist colony. We need to basically expand our TAM, our total addressable market, because most people aren't nudists. And we need to leverage this 500 acres of space in a really cool remote location for other things. And that's what I'm gathering as the thought process that you've gone through to get to where you are. But since we're on this topic, I just want to dig into specifically more aspects of what that vision is. You talk about retreats, you talk about festivals, you've hosted things like that here already. Could you just describe some of the specific examples of what you use this destination for, and what type of experiences you put on? Yeah,
definitely. An event that we host, Love Machine, Brian and Ryan, they started that a couple years ago, and amazing production, amazing experience. Like we had like Who Made Who, Macioplex, like crazy big headliner names.
So you've hired some big artists. So it was just like, unbelievable. And can I just ask about that real quick though? Like, how did you get the connections with these people? Did you tap into your network from before?
Entertainment, right? Okay. Naturally, like I already was in that space, and was tapped into that. So I just like utilized those connections. But like, when you start to, do one thing continuously, people are going to think that that's the only thing you do. And so the festivals, they were amazing, got us a lot of exposure, and created a lot of great, amazing experiences for people. But then people, didn't realize like this is actually like a resort. Right? This is a space you could come, rent out an amazing, retro fitted 70s trailer. and go on some journeys with some homies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, so we're, this next year, we're going to be really tapping into creating those glamping experiences, right? I tell people this is the next Joshua Tree is Burning Man. So getting, infusing those two, the nature, the experiential side of what Joshua Tree brings, and then the community and the creativity that Burning Man is. And, we're going to be creating an artist residency space for artists to come out here, use upcycled materials, manzanita woods, and like broken freaking stoves and trail, this and that, and welding and woodworking and creating art, what would be considered, junk, in someone's, backyard, right? So, I mean, you look at Burning Man, and without the art, it really isn't much. You know what I mean? But yeah, that we have glamping tents that we're putting up in the next month. Landscaping and really beautifying the space. We spent the first 2 years repairing the infrastructural items, and the bigger you are, the more things that can break. So the odds are like against you, right?
Sure.
So like the conduit and the septics, and then all the underground stuff. We fixed it all. I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars just fixing things because it was all broken. Because the space, it was a KOA before Nudist. So I
What's
think
that?
like a campgrounds.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So it went through a lot of damage, depreciation. In sync with the sun, and just you're in the middle of the desert. You know what I'm saying? So now, really utilizing technology. We have Starlink out here, right? People have their own Starlinks, so they can be off grid, but also work on their startup. And so that's cool. That's another thing that we're working on too, is a co-working space for entrepreneurs and
that's sick.
People that are working remote. I think like 40-something% of people are remote now after COVID. So people are like going to Tulum and doing staycations, and like they're disconnecting. And I think it's so important, because being trapped in your 400 square foot apartment can be very toxic, because you just create stories. Just in isolation, you're just like, I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. Like who's out there doing it better than me? You know what I mean? Versus like connecting with others, connecting with nature, and really tapping into the highest vibration possible. Yeah.
This is wild. Wow. I'm just digesting all of that, because there's so much opportunity, I feel like, with everything you just said. And now that I'm here, this big reason why I'm doing the podcast the way I am, so I can go in and immerse myself into the environment of the people I'm having on the show. And it just makes so much sense to hear you say this while I'm actually here.
Yeah. And then we can go skinny dipping afterwards, You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. I mean, this place is incredible. But wow. Okay. So that's a really cool description of what your vision is for this property. I do definitely want to spend some time talking about Microdose movement. Like how would you describe how Microdose movement was founded? What is the story behind that? And then, how does that relate to what you're doing with DeAnza Springs?
Yeah, definitely. I was really trying to discover, what in my life was making the most impact, and it was the events, it was the experiences, it was the community. And then also too, it was plant medicine, And so, I was like, let me start a business with these guys, and with Microdose movement, I had a friend. She had a Dreamcatcher Instagram account, had like 5 or 10K followers, and I was like, oh, let me buy that off you. Bought her for like $400. And then I just started posting content on mushrooms and psychedelic stuff 4 years ago. And account had really good engagement. The algorithm loves you or hates you. That's it.
I know.
You're like, damn.
So you basically just bought that account.
Yeah. At a really young age, and then I just started creating the content, and then I built it up. Now it's like at 50,000 followers. And highly targeted and super just engaged community.
Was this your personal account or the Microdose account?
Just micro separate.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, started with that, and I realized, if you see, an emerging market like cannabis, psychedelics,
Yeah.
AI, it's like, think about like how you can prepare yourself, for whatever, whether it be legalization or laws passing, or, like, how do you predict and dictate your future? You just take initiative now, and it's like, it's like building a website or like starting, same thing, right? It's social real estate.
Yeah.
Right. So you're building that, and you're building a following, and the end goal is to eventually, once legalization happens, I have this marketplace. I have these consumers that follow my newsletter, and then that's when, like, the private equity VC guys, those types of people, they have the patents on the materials, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Compass, I think Peter Thiel is a part owner of that.
Okay.
And it's kind of like, not as morally sound, because they're patenting like psilocybin extract process, even though it's already existed. And so, at the end of the day, they're gonna be the ones that dictate the distribution, once it does get legalized.
Yeah.
And so preparing for those times where it's like having the community, they're focusing on the manufacturing and the development of the products and this and that.
Right.
And then infusing the network into, and putting the product into the right people's hands once it becomes legal, Yeah.
Okay. And so, like, what is the business model of Microdose movement?
Yeah. I mean, right now we have coaching programs, and then we have integration coaching. So people that are looking for guidance in their micro journeys, they will have someone to talk to, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's lonely. Everyone's lonely.
Yeah.
Billionaires are lonely, more so lonely than anyone else. I'm lonely, you're lonely. We're a bunch of lonely people.
It's true, man.
Yeah. And so, we're all up in our fields, especially after post-COVID. Everyone's quiet quitting and all this stuff. So, everyone needs someone to talk to.
Yeah.
And no one wants to be analyzed like traditional therapists, kind of like, oh, okay, cool. Okay, seems like you have this. And they're just analyzing you rather than listening and empathizing.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the approach that we're taking, where, we have like a wellness wheel, and it's like the different spokes that identify certain parts of your life: emotion, spirituality, business, family, relationships, health, all that stuff, right?
Yeah. And
then we pinpoint where in this wheel you're lacking the most. And then accountability, right? It's accountability is everything.
Yeah.
Like with AA and stuff, like if you don't have an accountability person, you're most likely going to go back to smoking crack or whatever you're doing. You know what I mean? So accountability, and having someone that you can talk to, that isn't, seemingly like judging you, but more so just taking notes and giving you feedback. Yeah. And then letting you speak the words, and almost like journaling, like you're putting it into the universe, in 3D, so you're able to process it rather than it just being stuck in your head, and then you creating the story that you think you're not good enough, and you're you don't have a place in this planet because Steve Jobs or this person is killing it way harder than you.
Wow. Okay. So that's cool. So like coaching, like how many people do you have? Are these full-time employees? Are these people contracted out to that you hire to assign to customers? How does that work?
I mean, essentially, Microdose movement is, it's a gateway, right? And similar to kind of like affiliate marketing, right? It's like, I realized from a business perspective, it's like, whoever's got the leads, whoever's got the following, the funnel, they dictate, a lot.
Yeah.
Huge. You know, if you're able to capture the audience and give them the vetted, you know, coaches or, you know, product service, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I think that's what I realized that like creating microdose movement could be, where it's like, cool, like, you know, create the following, create the community, and create the brand,
Yeah.
and then kind of implement the coaches within that brand. And then be, I mean, it's like I'm like a spiritual broker, right? I'm like just connecting these people, you know, if like simply put, right?
Yeah.
It's just as basic as it is.
Got
Anyone
it.
could say, oh, that's a straight business or whatever. But no, essentially you're connecting the people, and my superpower is I'm a super connector.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know, yeah, right now we've got like 4 coaches. You know, they have a Calendly. You book through the Calendly. And you know, it's rev share. And so, you know, I think that's from an entrepreneur perspective.
Yep.
That's, you know, scalable
For sure.
right? And then we're creating e-courses for people to purchase as well.
Okay.
Programs for people to purchase to, you know, find out more about microdosing and or find out more about how to take their life to the next level, you know, because that's most of our clients are 9-to-5ers that are looking for a new purpose. And you know, we really help people find their purpose, find their calling. But it's more so you're doing the work. We're just kind of holding you accountable. We're just, you know, there's a fork in the road and we're just like, go this way, that one's the right. And then we turn into a chopstick, you know.
I like that. No, that's helpful in understanding it. I just want to understand, how do you integrate microdose movements to this property and what you're doing here? Have you found creative ways to do that, or do you keep them pretty separate?
I mean, it's an online business, right? And this is like a physical 3D experience. So it just naturally kind of came to life together. Where it's like, okay, cool, I have this audience that consumes plant medicine. Where do the people like to do plant medicine? In nature.
There you go.
So now people come here and, you know, through micro or through, you know, the different socials that we've created, and, you know, they it just naturally just like overlapped and just connected. You know, just from my experience, right? So, you know, I'm working on and just always trying to, you know, be the product and be, you know, as much as a leader as possible in that, in the spectrum of mental health. But obviously, you know, I'm human. I have my flaws, you know, and you know, it gets busy
for sure,
you know, and you know, I realized, you know, when I first started building the space, nomadic, which is, it's like the glamping aspect of DeAnza Springs. That's like the more of like the holistic kind of catering to the wellness group. And that's, we have a little nomadic space over there. And you know, I had a whole team of people, and my payroll was insane, and I was just like, I'm gonna build this, but I wasn't here. You know, I was trying to build from afar, and I realized that you have to be there. You know, the visionary has to be there, you know, like putting that vision on a big screen and just being like, hey guys, this is the vision. Because it gets hot out here. Everyone gets tired. You get restless sometimes if you're not getting direction, like in person, in 3D, you know. So now I'm here full time. And it's cool because it's like reversed, because I was building both microdose and here. And now I'm doing here in microdose, but microdose is e-com online, so I can do it from here. So it was a very expensive learning experience, but now I'm like in the right path to you know, sufficiently be there for my team, and then really, you know, curate the experiences out here, and being here, at the same time, you know? So
Yeah. Okay. That's such a cool way to bring it together. It really is, because it makes sense. It's like you've created this online community focused on this subject of experiences, and now you've created the place where people can actually take that too. So you're kind of hitting the whole spectrum with your business from start to finish. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah.
Honestly.
yeah, no, and going back to like, you know, I didn't plan any of this. I'm not much of a planner. I'm pretty bad at planning. And I just really started to just live the lifestyle that I wanted to create. And it just naturally kind of fell into place. Like, I didn't go searching for a nudist resort. My buddy I was hanging out with him a lot. I feel like he was like the messenger, you know, like, and he was just put on this planet to tell me about this place, you know?
Yeah.
But also a good friend. So,
right.
Sorry, Toby. But, you know, this place in the 1920s, to give you a little history.
Yep.
This was bootlegger, like prime time. Hakuma Hot Springs during Prohibition, alcohol prohibition, was like the Palm Springs of the America.
Really?
Yeah. And then fast forward 100 years later, 2020, when I bought the place with my partner, it was like social prohibition, right? Where people were being told to shut their mouths.
Yeah.
Don't show like mass, you know?
Interesting. Yeah.
So this is a COVID baby. And I was like, holy smokes, like a century later, like
social. I love the way you describe that.
Yeah. Social prohibition, dude. Like for real. And people are locked in their rooms, in their dwellings, and told to just stay. And so, yeah, like, you know, it was a risky buy, because that's the riskiest times.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like, I think this was my utilization of timing. This is where I came up on timing, right?
Yeah.
Because, you know, this nudist resorts don't go on sale often.
Right.
And so, you know, I had just enough money saved up from all the stuff that I did from the cannabis industry, and I was like, just about to turn 30 to Saturn's return, and I was like 29, 30, and it was my birthday. I was in Tulum. I invited like all my friends to Tulum. Ran out a boutique hotel, and then I hosted a plant medicine ceremony that I didn't tell them about until the ceremony.
I remember hearing
like,
that.
Where are we going? And I was like, we're gonna just work on our traumas. Like, I want you guys to get something out of this, because we raged that weekend. and then in the beginning, everyone's like, Kecho, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like freaking out, because, you know, I had some girls come from Joe Dispenza that I invited. And then everyone's like freaking out. And then in the beginning, everyone hated me, because I was gonna make everyone face their traumas. It was 4 grams of mushrooms and like an MDMA microdose. And then at the end of it, everyone's like, Kecho, we love you. Thank you so much for making us do that. And it was like a spiritual ice bath. Yeah. No one wants to go in the ice. I still hate the ice. Yeah. But I know what the outcome is. I know what it's going to do for me psychologically and physically. You know, same with like drinking an apple cider shot. Yeah. I don't enjoy drinking an apple cider shot, but I know the outcome is worth, you know, the pain and suffering, right? Going back to the ceremony, right? Yeah. Anything good comes with the pain and suffering. Like, that's something you have to endure. Sure. And then once you really embrace it, then like going to the gym is like it's fun. You know, working out and doing physical activities are like, it's like ecstasy, you know, versus like not having a healthy habit and then doing those things is the pain and suffering, right? Yeah. So you got to build that pain tolerance so high to where, you know, working on your business and networking and stepping out of your comfort zone is just like the norm. Yeah. You know?
Man. I want to ask a couple of more business-focused questions just in your overall experience as an entrepreneur, bringing all of this together. One of them is focused on the challenges. You kind of touched on a little bit how, it's been a challenge to balance between the different businesses that you've had and the 2 main ones you have now. I know you've got other investments to look after. But if you were to describe, it could be general or it could be specific, like one of the biggest challenges overall that you've experienced, how would you describe that?
I would say I would say it is two things. It's having like that mental fortitude and the ability to sacrifice pleasure, right? Like, because most people go 9 to 5 and they party on the weekends. They go 9 to 5, and it's like this loop that they're in. But it's more so like knowing that, you know, if you spend the next 3 years on this business, 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, and sacrifice for the time being, you know, it's the compounding effect, right?
Yeah.
And how interest compounds, and same thing with business. You know, if you spend $1,000 in your business now versus 3 years later, that $1,000 can be $100,000 in 3 years, and then that 100,000 is $1 million in 15 years or whatever, right? So knowing and finding and really like ingraining that ideology, and you know, almost getting like the runner's high, the entrepreneur's high of what, you know, going like waking up at 7 a.m. or 6 a.m. and going to bed and working all day long, you know? And secondly, I would say people. Man,
I've heard that a few times.
it's like a relationship. It's like, you know, dating like, you know, an astrological sign that isn't compatible with you. For me, it was a Scorpio. But yeah, it's like people, like it, like if you don't set the boundaries, and you allow yourself to be the best friend, the boss, and like all that, the boundaries get crossed, you know? And I'm usually the best friend first rather than the boss. And so that's a lot of the obstacles that I face building this space, all the businesses that I've been through, and, you know, realizing that, you know, friendships and business don't mesh well, you know, unless, you know, there is ultimate compatibility, right? I'm the visionary. I need an integrator. Right. I don't need another visionary. Right. So, it was an expensive learning lesson. You know, because like visionary to visionary, it's like, yeah, man, we got the same vision, dude. Let's fucking make it happen. And it's like, all right, who's gonna do the work? You know, and yeah, just and then also too, like really being able to receive. I've had a hard time with that because I've always been the giver and the people pleaser. So knowing like, okay, cool, like, you know, I hired someone to be the integrator, and then they're doing all the stuff that I don't want to do, doesn't mean that I'm lazy. You know what I mean? It's just like, if I was good at math or if I was good at spreadsheets, like I would be freaking rocking that thing in bed, like spreadsheeting out. But I know some girls that love spreadsheets, you know? So, you know, like, like really diving deep into the superpowers. And, you know, with my partner, Luke, I've learned so much from him. And we've had our ups and downs, you know, because, you know, he's got a family and kids, and I don't, and I'm still, he's about 6 years older. And coincidentally, we went to all the same schools, and we met through my other friend. And he taught me so much about, you know, setting realistic expectations and focusing on one or two things at a time, you know, rather than the whole visionary, the freaking goulash of everything that we want to do. And I really like it took, you know, a lot of screaming, a lot of like battle back and forth. And it's like, now we've gone through that pain and suffering in our relationship, and he's just like, yo, Kecho, like, you are the visionary, go create content, right? Show people, inspire them through the space, and do what like you've been wanting to do, and just create content and be on these podcasts and tell people the story, and help people, you know, get out of their funks, you know what I mean? So Big credit to Luke. He definitely's allowed me to really, when I do, like when we get into it, you know, he's the numbers guy and all that stuff, and I'm like, no, man, we gotta just love,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and really like kind of like taking those nuggets and like implementing it into my decision making. Because you know my decision making can be questionable sometimes, you know.
Right.
So yeah, the yin and yang is there, and yeah, it's I've never had a partner. He's the first partner I've ever had in business. So it was really hard for me to, you know, bite my tongue sometimes, where I'm like, I wanted to curse him out and like, dude, screw you, like, da, da, da. And being able to take a deep breath and just look inwards and not be reactive but proactive. You're like, okay, cool. Like, yeah, I made a mistake. I let this, you know, festival group take shits on the freaking streets and play music for 72 hours straight and not be there and be aware of I have 125 residents.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, you know, I'm doing these festivals, that music is blasting.
Yeah.
So not being conscientious of that and realizing that, like, dude, like, people have lives here, you know? And then, you know, obviously too, like, we're bringing more life to the space, you know, and then there are the people that are like, they came here to be left alone, you know? So there's a tug of war. You can't make everyone happy.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest battle we have right now with lifting the whole nudist thing.
That's interesting.
Is that I have people here that have lived here for decades. And it hurts. Like, I really am, like, we're really sad, like, that we're essentially stripping them of their lifestyle that they've had for many years. And yeah, it really is a struggle. But you know, with all great things, I mean, it comes to an end at a certain point. You know, whether it's a big change or transition or you die.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, you know, the median age here is 65, like, pretty old.
Yeah.
So a lot of people they're close to it, you know? So we really were like, it's hard, man. It was like, shit, like, we wanted to create two sides, nudist side and this over here, but it just didn't work. You know what I mean? It's you know, it's just we tried, and we, you know, there's complications, and I have young beautiful girls coming in, like, and then, like, some of these people haven't seen that in a long time, you know, and it's just like a culture shock on both sides. And you know, nudist culture is very, like, it's either you're in or you're out. You know what I mean? No, there's no man thong. There's no, like, you can't wear a G-string. It's like you're in or you're out. You know what I mean? So by nature, you know, it's two different lenses. Right? So I look at, or someone that is, you know, maybe insecure about their body image, that wears clothes, comes here, they look at someone that's naked, there's going to be judgment naturally. Vice versa too. Nudist that's lived here with only nudists for decades is gonna, you know, naturally judge someone for wearing clothes. Just by nature. Because it's just like, it's just, you know, such a different lifestyle. You know, you don't have your phone, like, and that's why this place has kind of been hidden, is because you're not supposed to take pictures and videos. So now, like, we're 180ing, totally shifting the paradigm. And that's a heavy change for the locals here. So definitely, like, a very hard decision to make. And we tried for 3 years to potentially be the best and the greatest nudist resort, because we have so much potential out here, but it just didn't work out. You know, it didn't work out, and it was, you know, we gotta, like I said, we have to be able to pay the bills, or this place, you know, it dies. You know what I mean? So,
man, that's a lot, but it's a lot of good stuff around the challenges, and specifically to this place, also with just the overall entrepreneurial experience and working with people, all that stuff. It's good.
Yeah. And right now, like we're getting a lot of hate and trolls and all that stuff because people think it's like a money grab.
Yeah.
Like we're in here like just trying to like get rich.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll tell you right now, if you ask any one of my friends, anyone that's closest to me, it's never been about the money.
No.
You know what I mean? And if it is, you're gonna die a lonely person.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Well, that's I like how you said that, because that might even lead me into this question that I ask everybody towards the end of the show, which is, what's an entrepreneurial life hack that is against the mainstream belief, that's unique to you, something from the experiences you've had? And I know you went on a bit of a tangent around some of these challenges, and it's valuable content what you just shared. But do you have an answer in mind that is unique?
Like a practice?
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah, it could be
principle,
big or small.
practice principle.
It could be a mindset. It could be a small habit.
Yeah, I would say, you know, I tell like I kind of jokingly have like my Instagram handle as like the spiritual degenerate.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because, you know, I came from this kind of degenerate lifestyle where it was degenerating my body, my mind. And, you know, I think the biggest things people run into where when they step out of that, they step into spirituality.
Yeah.
There's a lot of spiritual bypassing, right? Where you're like, I'm spiritual now, like I don't drink anymore, and now I'm elite. I'm spiritual elite. Right. Anyone that drinks alcohol needs to repent for their sins. You know what I mean? So, you know, really having that balance between, it's the yin and yang, right? It's really the ebb and flow of like, you know, enjoying life responsibly, right? And having that balance, going in the hikes, having the breath work, ice baths. You know, I do ozone therapy. I just moved out of my place, and I've been living in toxic mold for the last 8 years, and you know, now I'm going to be doing ozone therapy, mold cleanse, and detoxing my body, and really just embracing and having the right intention in everything that you do, and being conscious of like and self-aware of what you're doing and how it impacts around you. You know what I mean? Because man, I used to be an enabler. I thought I was like giving back to the world by giving people these experiences, but it was just so toxic. And now I'm giving back through this space, right? You know, we do the festivals, but we also do the wellness retreats, you know, and really just tapping into that yin and yang where it's like, you know, I like, dude, I remember I used to just cast so much judgment on people that like, you know, smoked cigarettes. I was like, oh, you smoke cigarettes? Blah, blah, blah. And then like, then I started smoking cigarettes in my nightlife days. I'm like, oh shit, like, whoa, what the fuck? What just happened? You know? And so really like empathizing and understanding where people are at. And really just like, just not analyzing, but like really just empathy. It's like, hey, like, you know, when I did start smoking cigarettes, I probably was depressed. You know, I probably had a very low chemical, you know, I had a chemical imbalance. And so meeting people with where they're at and not judging based off of what you see, what's around you, you know, and really, you know, going and finding the core root. You know, you don't have to be a therapist because, you know, they have people you could pay for that, you know? But, you know, really just man, just really tapping into that self-awareness and connecting, you know, eye to eye. And so, you know, that really, it comes from being so okay with yourself. Because we're mirrors. We project.
True.
I'm like, dude, you look like shit. It's like, no, I'm insecure about how I look. And so that's why I think you look like shit. You know what I'm saying?
That's pretty.
So you know, real. We all project road rage, right? You like, we're all project like that show Beef. It's literally like, I love it because it's like, it just goes into that these two people in totally different spectrums. One of them's killing it. One of them's close to homeless.
Yeah.
And they meet eye to eye on the road. They cut him off, and she cuts him off, and then they start battling, and then they have this whole vendetta to try to ruin each other's life, right? And at the end of the show is they get together and they become best friends after so much trials and tribulations, and they realize that they were just mirroring each other, and just like projecting all their life insecurities upon another, you know? So, yeah, man, just really like, you know, if you do watch a movie or, you know, you go to a seminar, just find the intention to really understand, you know, the mechanics of what you're learning and applying that to different aspects of your life, you know? And I think that's, you know, versus like mindlessly like playing a video game or
going
watching
through the motions.
Yeah, going through the motions. You're just like unconscious.
Right.
But yeah, tapping into your conscious mind and being present in that moment, you know, and it's like, yeah, that I think that is like the biggest tool nowadays. And people kind of lose track of that because, you know, the entrepreneur lifestyle where you're just 12 hours, 14 hours a day, you're going. But you know, that's short lived, dude. Like grind on your business for as much as you can, get it to where you're not a operator, but you're an owner. Right. And then get back into the mindfulness, you know, you don't have to, I'm not saying like get yin and yang and Buddha mode like right now. If you're grinding on your business, have the exit strategy. Yeah. Right. And know like, okay, 3 years from now, I'm going to take my business 10 million a year and it's going to be, you know, operated by my integrators. And then now I have passive income, you know? So yeah, just having the intention, having a little bit of a plan, right? But yeah, just really tapping into the manifestation, the law of attraction, and you know, everyone's got an electromagnetic field. So making sure that your surroundings are what serve you, you know, and your purpose and your goals. Yeah.
Oh man. That's gonna hit hard. That's, man, you've got a lot of wisdom. You're fascinating, dude. I could talk to you for hours about this stuff, and man, we really could. There's just so much to dig into with all the stuff that you're about and that you share with the world. So appreciate you for that.
Yeah, appreciate you.
Is there someone that you have in your network that you would recommend I have on this show? Somebody who is entrepreneurial in some way. They have a business, a brand that they're building?
Yeah, I would say maybe, man, so many freaking people. Like, it really is endless. Yeah. I think, dude, like, I think Anwar and Omar, I think, would be a good duo. The brothers. They have this company. I think they sold Smash Deck. Yeah. And they were like a top, you know, top company to work at in San Diego. I think they'd be really cool because they went through the hustle and bustle, and now they're kind of like they're cruising, enjoying their plunder. You know?
What kind of company was it?
It was e-com, you know, skinny fit, healthy, nutraceutical type deal. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, like being able to manage and inspire and keep, you know, all those employees, you know, stoked on life. I don't know how they did it, but I'm starting to learn. Yeah. You know?
Nice, man.
Yeah.
Well, Kecho, again, thank you, man. This has been fascinating. The story is a absolute roller coaster in a cool way, and I mean, I'm just happy I'm here to experience it. And I think other people should look into this as well and come to one of your events out here.
Definitely, man. We're just getting started. Yeah. You know, this is what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life. And it's not even work really anymore. Right. So it's really exciting, to be just like invite my friends to an energy vortex. Yeah. Like, come to my energy vortex.
Yeah. I love that. How can people find you online and the businesses? What are the Instagram accounts, social media? Websites?
Yeah. DeAnza Springs is the property. That's the entity that we purchased, and Stay.nomadic is the glamping and the kind of the holistic wellness side of things, and Conscious Kecho is my IG, Kecho, And then, yeah, if anyone wants to book online, or just reach out to me,
Yep.
or they want me to take them on a hiking experience, or, you know, check out like these freaking trippy trailers,
Yeah.
you know, right? It's like,
Yep. There you go. Noodle. Yep. Hell yeah. Yeah, we'll get some footage after this too. Cool, man. Well, I love it.
Sweet.
Well, dude, thanks again. I'm stoked to take a little bit of a tour of the spot and
Yeah,
see
bro.
what it's all
I got
about.
you, dude.
Hell yeah.
Let's get it.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Later.
Thank you for joining our conversation today on the Nichols and Dimes Show. Please check out and follow my podcast Instagram at nicholsanddimezshow. I'd love to have you subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or YouTube. You can also find it on my website. I welcome and encourage any feedback you can share in the reviews so I can continue to improve and develop the show. Thanks again, and see you next time.